We are jumping into a Shield vs. Avengers game against Ian, also known as Melonator. I have won the priority roll, and I choose to use my secures. We draw Infinity Formula Goes Missing, and the Montesi Formula Found. Going to this game, I'm very excited to try out some of the new stuff from the upcoming core box, including the new Black Widow and the new Captain America. I'm hoping that my squad can use its conditions and Steve leadership to annoy the heck out of the opposing Shield team. My deployment from top to bottom is Captain America the First Avenger, aka Steve Rogers, the Black Widow, Bullseye, Captain America, aka Sam Wilson, and Spider-Woman. Ian's deployment from top to bottom is Black Widow, Invincible Iron Man, Crimson Dynamo, the Howling Commandos, the Shield Agents, and Nick Fury Jr. I declare my leader as Captain America the First Avenger. Ian declares his leader as Nick Fury Jr. I activate the Black Widow. The Black Widow is a new 4-threat Avenger from Earth's mightiest core set. She has stealth and is really tough to kill, and then when you kill her, she gets to pick where the objective drops. I walk her to the middle Montesi spellbook, pick it up. I'm hoping that even though I'm hanging her out there, that she will be able to survive. Our extract is the Montesi Formula Found. Characters holding spellbooks can use the spellbook attack profile once per turn. Ian activates Nick Fury and the Shield Agents. The Shield Agents walk up to the spellbook and pick it up. They then walk toward the bottom left canister. Then Nick walks onto the same canister. Our secure is Infinity Formula Goes Missing. In the power phase, characters contesting serum canisters gain 1 additional power. I activate Bullseye. He walks to the spellbook and picks it up. He then walks over to the bottom right canister. Ian activates Black Widow. She walks over to and stands on the top left canister. I activate Steve and walk onto the top right canister. Ian activates Crimson Dynamo and walks twice towards the middle of the board. I activate Sam and walk to within range of the Shield Agents, and he throws his shield at them, dealing 2 damage. This KOs the grunts and Bayou time triggers, allowing Ian to place the spellbook instead of me. Ian activates the Howling Commandos. They walk up and pick up the spellbook. They make a prototype weapons attack into Sam, dealing 2 damage. They hit their pursuit trigger, but Ian chooses not to take it. I activate Spider-Woman. She double walks onto the bottom left canister, and within 2 of the commandos. Ian activates Invincible Iron Man, and walks twice toward the bottom left canister, but is short of making it onto the point. This ends the turn. Ian has 1 spellbook, and I have 2 spellbooks. Ian has 1 canister, and I have 2 canisters. Score is now 2-4. This is a pretty good opening turn. I was able to get a 2-point lead, which is where you really want to be against Fury leadership. This will prevent him from turning on the advancing side of the leadership. Without that, Sam should be able to have a huge impact on the game with his pushes. Going into this turn, I would like to limit the number of attacks he can make against me and pressure his extract. I'm going to do this by trying to put out some shocks on his models with Spider-Woman and Widow, then push him away with Sam. The Infinity Canister gives extra power to Black Widow, Steve, Fury, Spider-Woman, and Bullseye. I activate Spider-Woman. She attacks the Howling Commandos with Intoxicating Blast. Ian plays Eye in the Sky. Eye in the Sky is a reactive team tactics card. When a friendly model is attacked, Nick Fury can pay 3 power to advance them short. If the advance gets them out of range, cancel the attack. If the attack is cancelled, the attacker gets a new action. The commandos back up towards Ian's board edge, making sure to stay outside of 3 so Spider-Woman can't attack them with her builder. The attack is cancelled, and Spider-Woman gains an action from Eye in the Sky. Spider-Woman attacks Iron Man with Bioelectric Strike. Crimson Dynamo uses Disruption Field. Spider-Woman uses Steve's leadership, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, to change a blank to a wild. Earth's Mightiest Heroes is the new Avengers leadership in Earth's Mightiest Core Box. It lets you change the facing of 1 die if you pay 1 power and have a hit result in your roll. Disruption Field makes me re-roll the wild, and the attack does no damage. Spider-Woman walks onto the bottom right canister. Ian activates Iron Man. Iron Man attacks Sam with his repulsors. I put up Sam's shield. The attack does no damage. He shoots Sam again, dealing 2 damage. I activate Sam and throw a shield at Iron Man. Sam uses Earth's Mightiest Heroes to pick up a wild, and Tony uses I Am Iron Man to reduce the damage by 1. The attack does 4 damage, pushes Tony away, and triggers Ricochet. The Ricochet attack goes into Fury, dealing 1 damage and pushing Fury into Tony. Sam spends 2 power to airlift and walks behind Bullseye. Airlift places Bullseye into cover. Ian activates the Howling Commandos and walks towards the bottom right canister. They use Siblings in Arms to place Crimson Dynamo closer to my team. They then walk back to the bottom left canister. I activate Widow and walk onto the car, then hit Crimson Dynamo with her shock batons. The attack does 1 damage and shock. Ian activates Crimson Dynamo and beams Spider-Woman and Sam. Spider-Woman takes no damage, Sam takes no damage but is shocked. Crimson Dynamo does it again. Spider-Woman takes no damage but is shocked. Sam takes 2 damage and is dazed. Crimson Dynamo uses his rocket boots to get onto the canister. I activate Bullseye. He throws a knife at Dynamo. The attack does 1 damage. Bullseye uses Hit and Run and throws another knife. Bullseye uses the leadership to pick up a bleed. The attack does 1 damage and bleed. Bullseye walks onto the bottom right canister. Ian activates Nick Fury and walks up, then shoots the Black Widow. The Black Widow uses Calculated Risk to reroll her defense dice. The attack does 4 damage. I activate Steve and do nothing. Ian activates Black Widow and does nothing. This ends the turn. Ian has 1 spellbook and I have 2 spellbooks. Ian has 2 canisters and I have 2 canisters. Score is now 5-8. This was a decent turn for me. I managed to hold my extract lead while keeping parity on the secures, increasing my lead by 1. I avoided triggering his leadership, denying him the free victory point from dazing a character. I play Shield a lot, and it's strange to be on the other side of the table. I felt really good about the Spider-Woman activation, which didn't accomplish anything, but it did get Ian to spend a ton of resources to stop it. I think Ian's big mistake this turn was not using the commandos to get Iron Man back in the fight. I also think that he needs to be pushing his pieces at me. I am starting to run away with the game, and he needs to get his guns on me quick. Ian plays Stark Armory for 5. Stark Armory is an active team tactics card that can be played by Tony Stark. Tony can pay 1 to 5 power to play the card. If a friendly model is in range equal to the power spent, in this case range 5, the friendly model gets 1 extra attack dice on all of its attacks. The Infinity Canister gives extra power to Black Widow, Steve, the Howling Commandos, Crimson Dynamo, Spider-Woman, and Bullseye. I activate Sam and attack Dynamo with Red Wing Assault. Ian uses Eye in the Sky to move Dynamo away and cancel the attack. Sam attacks Dynamo with a shield throw. The attack does no damage and we ricochet onto Nick Fury. I use the leadership to get another hit and Nick takes 1 damage and is pushed away from Sam. Sam charges Dynamo with a Red Wing Assault. Dynamo uses Disruption Field. The attack does 2 damage and throws Dynamo into the Howling Commandos. Dynamo and the Howling Commandos play Brace for Impact. Brace for Impact is a reactive team tactics card that allows you to ignore the damage from a collision. Ian activates Crimson Dynamo and shakes Shock. He does a Homing Rockets attack onto Bullseye, dazing him, and hitting the Wild Explosive trigger. Explosive does 1 damage to Black Widow and Spider-Woman. Bullseye drops his book. Crimson Dynamo dazes to bleed. I activate Spider-Woman. She uses I Don't Fly, I Glide to place 2 towards Iron Man. She picks up the spellbook. She attacks the commandos with Bioelectric Strike. The attack does shock, stun, and 2 damage. What are these ugly shock tokens doing here? We got bills to pay. If you want to get these way cooler shock tokens, you can go to my Patreon at patreon.com/Vincent Curkov and sign up for the tier that gives you all the cool status effects tokens. Run the Link takes a tremendous amount of time to edit and is only possible because of my patrons. If you're interested in making more videos like this happen, go back my Patreon. Now, what's going on in the game again? Oh yes, Spider-Woman walks back towards the top right canister. Ian activates Nick Fury. He walks to within 3 of the Black Widow. He attacks Widow with the Fury Special. He spends 3 power off of Iron Man with Jarvis to reroll 3 dice. Widow blocks all the damage. Nick calls in the cavalry to place the grunts. I activate the Black Widow. She moves twice to the top right canister. Ian activates the Howling Commandos and shoots their prototype weapons at Sam, dealing 1 damage. They move to the back of the canister and use Siblings in Arms to place Iron Man up the board. I play Avengers Assemble. Avengers Assemble is an active Avengers team tactics card that allows every Avenger to play 1 power. Those that do may advance short. Sam and Steve both pay for Avengers Assemble. Sam walks behind the building. Steve walks within 3 of Black Widow. I activate Steve. He attacks Widow with a shield bounce. I use the leadership to get an extra success and deal 1 damage. Black Widow uses Counter-Strike but deals no damage. Steve charges onto the point and uses shield bounce on Widow again, dealing no damage. She uses Counter-Strike and deals 2 damage. Ian activates Iron Man and walks up to Spider-Woman. He shoots her, dealing no damage, but pushes her off the point. Ian activates Black Widow and strikes Steve. I use Perfect Block to add 2 dice. The attack does no damage. She attacks Steve again. The attack does 1 damage, and she hits her wild, making Steve lose a power. This ends the turn. Ian has 1 spellbook, and I have 2 spellbooks. Ian has 1 canister, and I have 1 canister. Score is now 7-11. This was another decent turn for me. I managed to avoid getting absolutely wiped off the board by Stark Armory. I'm just going to keep working on maintaining my extract lead and try to close the game out here in the next turn or 2 before Ian can kill all of my models. The Infinity Canisters give extra power to Black Widow, Steve, the Black Widow, the Howling Commandos, Crimson Dynamo, and Bullseye. I activate Bullseye and attack Iron Man with Pincushion. The attack does no damage, but Bullseye uses I Never Miss to deal 1 damage. Iron Man uses I Am Iron Man to prevent the damage. Iron Man gains Bleed. Bullseye takes the rapid fire attack. He uses the leadership to get another success and does 3 damage, dazing Iron Man. Nick Fury's leadership triggers, giving Ian 1 point. Score is now 8-11. Bullseye attacks the shield agents with a throwing knife. The agents take 1 damage. Ian activates the Howling Commandos. They walk towards Bullseye. They use siblings in arms to place Nick Fury in front of themselves. They use their prototype weapons to shoot Bullseye. The attack does no damage. Bullseye uses Parting Shot to deal 1 damage to the Commandos and move away short. I activate Sam. He throws his shield at Nick Fury. The attack does no damage, but hits the ricochet trigger and bounces into the shield agents. Sam uses the leadership to pick up an extra hit and KOs the grunts. Sam attacks Fury with another shield throw. The attack does no damage, but bounces into Dynamo. The attack bounces off Dynamo too. Ian activates Black Widow. She attacks Steve with Mixed Technique. Steve uses Perfect Block for extra defense dice. The attack does 3 damage and dazes Steve. I activate the Black Widow and do nothing. Ian activates Crimson Dynamo. He attacks Sam with his homing rockets. Sam puts up his shield. The rockets do 1 damage. Dynamo shuffles on the point a bit. I activate Spider-Woman and I use I Don't Fly, I Glide. Then she attacks Nick Fury with Bioelectric Strike. She uses the leadership to get an extra wild. The attack does 3 damage and shock. She attacks Nick again, and he plays Sacrifice. Sacrifice is a reactive team tactics card that can redirect an attack. In this case, we change the target of the attack from Nick to the Howling Commandos. The Howling Commandos block all the damage. Ian activates Nick Fury. Nick Fury uses Call in the Cavalry to place the grunts. He attacks Spider-Woman with Lead from the Front, dealing no damage. The grunts get to attack and deal 4 damage to Spider-Woman, leaving her on 1 hit point. Ian walks Nick onto the Infinity Formula. This ends the turn. Ian has 1 spellbook, I have 2 spellbooks. Ian has 2 canisters, I have 1 canister. Spider-Woman uses Interrogate on Iron Man to score 1 additional point. The score is now 11-15. Aw man, so close to winning there. I was really hoping that I would either kill Nick Fury there and manage to win the game off the Interrogate play, or that Ian wouldn't see the Interrogate line and try to do more damage. I think Ian is still playing the game a little too safe to win. I think that hanging back on the points isn't going to win him the game, and he needs to be pushing Dynamo forward in order to get enough attacks on my guys and get the extracts out of my hands. Infinity Formula gives Black Widow, Steve, the Black Widow, Crimson Dynamo, Nick Fury, and Spider-Woman extra power. I activate Spider-Woman and attack Nick Fury with Bioelectric Strike. Nick uses Eye in the Sky to walk away and cancel the attack. Spider-Woman walks next to Nick and attacks him again. She uses the leadership to gain a wild. The attack does no damage, but puts stun on Nick.
I think you're baiting me here.
He's good instincts. You got good instincts.
Ian activates Nick Fury and the shield agents. The shield agents shoot Bullseye, dealing 2 damage. Bullseye uses Parting Shot and moves out of range of the follow-up attack. The shield agents attack Spider-Woman, dealing 1 damage, dazing her. I play Mission Objective. Mission Objective is a reactive team tactics card. When a character would drop an extract token, they may pay power to give it to a friendly model instead. In this case, Spider-Woman gives the spellbook to Bullseye. Nick walks up to Bullseye and attacks him with Lead from the Front. Ian spends power off of Iron Man for 2 Jarvis rerolls. but the attack does 1 damage. The Grunt's follow-up attack deals 1 damage to KO Bullseye. I play Fallback. Fallback is a reactive team tactics card that for 2 power lets you move away from a character that attacked you. Bullseye moves away from the shield agents. This prevents Nick from picking up the spellbook. I activate Sam. He charges and throws a shield at Iron Man. Iron Man uses I Am Iron Man to reduce the damage by 1. The attack does 1 damage and pushes Iron Man away short. The attack ricochets into Dynamo, dealing no damage. Sam walks to the other side of the spellbook and picks it up. Ian activates Black Widow. She attacks Steve with Mix Technique. Steve uses Perfect Block for more defense dice. The attack does no damage. She attacks Steve with Mix Technique. Steve uses Perfect Block for more defense dice. The attack does no damage. I activate Steve and attack Black Widow with Shield Bounce. Steve uses the leadership to pick up an extra success and does 1 damage. He attacks her again, dealing 2 damage and dazing her. The shield leadership triggers, giving Ian 1 point. Score is now 12-15. Ian activates the Howling Commandos. They walk over to Iron Man and use Siblings in Arms to move Iron Man closer to Sam. They then walk onto the bottom left canister. I pass. Ian activates Crimson Dynamo. He walks twice toward the bottom right canister. I activate the Black Widow and do nothing. Ian activates Iron Man and walks next to Sam and uses Helios Laser Bombardment. Helios Laser Bombardment is an active team tactics card that any number of characters can pay power into. It unlocks a 2-die attack that gets an extra dice for each power paid into it. He does a 10-die Helios into Sam. I raise Sam's shield. The attack does 3 damage, dazing Sam. Iron Man picks up the spellbook. This ends the turn. Ian has 2 spellbooks, I have 1. Ian has 2 canisters, and I have 2 canisters. Final score, 16-18. This was a really close game that I think was decided by a few key decisions. I think that bringing Dynamo on a non-E-shaped map was a mistake, and something like Agent Venom would have been way scarier here. Once he was stuck with Dynamo, he needed to bury that guy into my lines instead of briefly pulling him back. On my end of things, I think I didn't pressure the commandos enough to get the spellbook off of them. I also gave Cap a terrible matchup as he wants to fight multiple people so he can use his triggers to generate multiple attacks. If you guys want to talk to Ian, you can find him on Alfredo's Size 3 Discord under the name Melonator, link in the description. If you want to see more of me, click on one of these videos. And remember that fun is a finite resource.